Welcome back to the Profits of IT. I am your host, Jim Punzenberger, creator of ManageProspectingSystem.com, which brings IT service businesses authority content, LinkedIn outreach, targeted emails, and done for you every week. So check out ManageProspectingSystem.com. I'm excited today to have Eric Klos with me. He is founder and CEO of DailyBreath, the largest personalized environmental health, intelligence, and wellness platform. Eric, welcome to Profits of IT. Tell us what DailyBreath is and what problem you're solving.
Sure. Well, thank you, Jim. I appreciate the opportunity. So DailyBreath is really an environmental health, intelligence, and wellness platform. And what that means is I collect environmental data and I try to correlate it to personal health impact. And so, what we mostly see in the environmental space is people track air quality apps, and it's kind of broadcast information of air quality severity, but it doesn't link to how you're experiencing that poor air quality. And so, what I want to try to do is, connect acute symptoms and how people are feeling on a daily basis with kind of the allergens and pollutants that they experience on a daily basis.
Got it. So, is it okay if I ask you a few questions here?
Absolutely.
So, what does everybody in your field get wrong about how to actually improve health outcomes?
Right. Well, I think that there's two parts to it. One is that unfortunately, we don't have as much local environmental data as we really should. We have satellite observations, we have widely distributed air quality sensor networks. And so we end up broadcasting that information on kind of a distributed model. And you see that in air quality forecasts on weather stations or weather apps or, specifically air quality apps. But it really isn't linked to what I call, personal impacts, right? And it doesn't necessarily translate into personal action. There are certain things you can do to avoid allergens and pollutants that you experience during the day, whether it's outdoors or indoors. And I think that's the big disconnect. Daily Breath is really aimed at, what's in the air I breathe, how does it impact my personal health, and what can I do about it?
So, what's a piece of conventional wisdom in health or tech that makes you roll your eyes?
Um, well, I mean, I think that the problem I have a little bit right now, at least in my domain, is it's a lot of confusion in air quality. And so I think one of the things that's really important, and you find this predominantly, throughout kind of the data space, is you need to really understand what data is being communicated to you as a consumer. And I think the air quality industry is doing a really poor job of that right now. And one of the goals I think of Daily Breath as I start to consume environmental data is to be better at transparency. What actual data are people looking at? How local is that? How frequent is that, right? Air quality sensors are measuring air quality on a frequency level, right? And so is that every hour? Is that every 2 hours? Is that information being communicated, on a daily basis, right? So I think that's really one of the bigger disconnects is, data is great. AI and machine learning are really good if they're using really good data, right? I mean, if you apply AI to machine learning to bad data, garbage in, garbage out, right? So I think that's really kind of one of the fundamental challenges is really to figure out, exactly how are we communicating, this information to individuals accurately and beneficially for them.
Well, let me ask you this. What's the skill that lets you build something nobody else has built?
Well, I think it's recognizing the opportunity through AI and machine learning to apply a personalized risk evaluation, right? It's not, it's recognizing that if we collect this data for an individual through certain types of algorithms, we can create kind of a personalized risk index. I call it the Perry score, right? And it's a personalized environmental health risk index, as opposed to kind of looking at air quality and the severity. We're actually looking at um, I have an individual sensitivity to particular pollutants based on my personal susceptibility, my physiology. And so that's kind of what we're doing is applying AI and machine learning to incoming data and how I'm experiencing that poor air quality into a personalized risk index.
And how did um, and how did you develop this? Is this something you developed over the years, or tell us more about
Yes.
that?
Yeah, I mean, this is also just an evolutionary process. I think over 9 years, when I started the opportunity, it was two different MVPs to, see what I could develop. And there's been just a lot of movement in the last 9 years in the market space. Obviously, COVID actually accelerated people's impressions of the air that they breathe indoors, right? Because that was a
Yes.
transmission issue. But I think that the biggest thing with the technology is, as I indicated, is we had widely distributed network. Now we have mobility-based sensor networks that are emerging, where you have air quality sensors that are being put on fleet vehicles in a city, and they're mapping that city. Then you also have wearable air quality monitors that are emerging that are tracking, air quality at the person. So it's really, a maturation of technology from sensor IoT, to, data models to AI and machine learning that actually are converging in a way that the market is recognizing the intersection of air quality and health. And at the same time, there's technologies that are becoming available that we can leverage within Daily Breath, to make it more consumable, to the actual consumer.
Cool. So let me ask you a different question here. What's the most expensive lesson you've learned as a founder?
I think the most expensive lesson I've learned is I think I went too fast in some cases of expending funds for things that were not necessary at the time to prove out kind of the test, the MVP. I remember I wanted early on, one of the validations that I wanted personalized pollen information. Pollen can be trees, weeds, or grasses, but there also can be specific information about oak trees, that you want to consume. Well, that was a
Uh-huh.
$2,000 per quarter feed. Um, and I paid for that. And I realized at the time it was like, all I needed to validate was trees, weeds, and pollen and grasses. I really didn't need to get to that level of specificity because the market really wasn't ready to consume that. Right. And so those are kind of some of the things you realize as you're growing. It's like, oh, penny wise, pound foolish, right? It's like, okay, that was not something that was part of the validation testing that I really needed to do at the time. And so you do have those incidences where you're trying to run too fast and the market isn't really ready for it. I joke with people is, if anything, I think sometimes you learn that being successful in business is about persistence, sometimes more than anything else, because what you think is a great idea for a market, the market might not be ready for.
That makes sense. So, what are you building it next at Daily Breath, and how should people connect with you?
Sure. Yeah. So we're actually in the process of releasing a new updated version of the app, the paid version of the app. And this is really the validation opportunity for Daily Breath, really to determine the growth path for the business. And that includes a lot of different changes in the way we project information. I had thought a lot of the things that I've realized over time is that people are very confused by numbers. And so even air quality numbers are really challenging for people to understand. So I've created a lot better data visualizations around maps and kind of showing where the, heat map, called a heat map overlay for air quality, and beginning to get people to kind of comprehend that, one of the things that they can do is maybe change their behaviors. Maybe there's a park nearby that has poor air quality, but there's there's a part, in another direction that has, better air quality, and can we change behavior? So we're doing a lot of interesting things from that perspective. They can find the Daily Breath app on the App Store or via Google Play, and they can reach me via www.dailybreath.com. That's my website.
Cool. And so the app, they should download the app and then help utilize the app to change their behaviors, which would then give them uh, better air or make them healthier.
Yeah, that's really the goal, is really to start a personal journey around environmental health, right? And so I encourage people to download the app. And again, what I really am trying to bring into the equation here is there's no perfect way to communicate air quality health risk yet, and that's one of the things that I'm hoping to do is with people's help. I need users so that I can get their feedback, right? I've said that don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, right? And so I need people to sign up for Daily Breath, use the app, and then really help me improve the app over time. If I'm going to charge a certain amount of money, I want to make sure I'm delivering that value to the users,
Of
right?
course.
And if the users can help me in that process, right? So that's what I really encourage people to do, is download the app from the App Store or via Google Play, and then start that journey with me.
Well, Eric, thank you for your time today and thank you for sharing.
Sure. Thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity, Jim.
And as Eric said, information alone doesn't change behavior. Personalization does. ManagedProspectingSystem.com works the same way. Not generic marketing, not mass email. Personalized authority content, targeted LinkedIn outreach, an email that speaks to the right person at the right time. Multiple pillars done for you every week. So check out ManagedProspectingSystem.com and make it personal, make it work, and keep building. I'm Jim Punzenberger. This has been Profits of IT. Bye for now.